What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit. I am without an observer, and I typed exclamation LA to no avail, and I am back with some more Age of Mythology. The Titans action spawning in the bottom of the map in the blue color, playing as Poseidon. His name is 3antozz. 3antozz, the great 3antozz, the mighty 3antozz, the son of Matreus, as some people like to refer to him. Definitely on his way to becoming a very, very fierce and a talented top Poseidon player. His opponent today, no stranger to Poseidon battles. His name is Rapl, and he is playing Odin in the red color. This man is becoming a myth among men, a legend among myths, and some other kind of weird phrase that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's exciting times to be alive. We've had the announcements of AOM AOM Retold in the past couple of days, and it's really getting everyone's tickle, everyone's fancy, all of the good stuff happening. And I'm, for one, am very, very excited about the whole state of real-time strategy. Recently, we've had a lot of buzz with the Red Bull Woolaloo going on, Woolalo, however you say it. I don't know how people say things anymore. And it's just a lot of really, really cool things around the horizon for RTS and Age of Mythology and everything in general. Definitely some tournaments going to be coming up in the near future, and maybe even a return to normality in the tournaments. Maybe an actual normal tournament without too many crazy rule sets to give everyone a bit of a, this is how we see things going. But anyways, onwards and upwards, it's time to take a look at this matchup. We've got Odin versus Poseidon on Frozen Wastes. I actually think this is one of the better maps to be a Poseidon player on, because it really, really favors the aggressive play, which you want to be doing here against against an Odin player. So we'll see if that's something which 3antozz is going to be able to pull off here. Now, I, for one, am a really, really big fan of Poseidon players, Hades players, Zeus players against Odin going up at 4 minutes. I feel like there is no real good reason to make a Theseus in the early game against Norse. I don't feel like you find, especially against Odin, I don't feel like you find any value, because most of the time Odin will have cast his god power, Great Hunt, and be in his base until well into the later parts of, or the early parts of the classical age, and that Theseus just not going to be able to do all too much. So as that is the case, a very, very fast advance time is what we're seeing here from 3antozz. Perfect indeed. 304 is the kind of perfect age up time, and we are seeing him dropping some villagers over onto wood. This is exactly what he needs to do at the start of the game to allow him to get himself Theseus, to get himself a Polita, to get himself a stable or two, or a hop, or a military barracks, or an archer range. All of this stuff is very, very good for 3antozz. He's also in the middle of the map on these walrus. And what he really should be thinking about doing right now is getting a Pegasus. This is something that I think is vitally important for the early game of Poseidon, of Zeus, of Hades, is knowing where your opponent is on second hunt. So if 3antozz knows, which he does see that this caribou is dead here, if 3antozz knows where his opponent's hunting, if there's only like one option, then you kind of like don't need it. But if there's multiple options, like he could be here, he could be here, you don't know exactly where he is. However, there is some cheeky shenanigans you can do with hunt checking. So for example, if he's here, you can select these elk and see if he's here, and if he's here, you can select these elk and see if he's here. But there is also multiple other options. But we are seeing Rapl simply just pulling back and dropping onto the goats. So very, very safe play here from Rapl in the early game. He's got plenty of villagers on wood, advancing what seems to be quite late to the classical age, and he's going to give 3antozz all of the initiative here in this game. So we'll see what he's going to be able to come up with. And we are actually seeing the double stables right now. As the Hippolyta is out, one thing you want to do is take these villagers off of wood here and go over onto the gold so that you can afford the double stables straight off the bat. You only need about 3 villagers per stable on food. Then you need 4 villagers-ish on... Actually, maybe it's less than 3 villagers, but maybe it's like 2 villagers on food. And then you need about 8 villagers on gold to support 2 stables. As we are seeing the Centaur getting pushed back there by the Herser, as we will be seeing those units of 3antozz slowly making their way forward, and Rapl throwing down his longhouse over here. So let's see what Rapl's got planned for us. He's making Ulfsark right now. Does he have husbandry? He does have husbandry. He's sitting on these goat in his main base here, pumping out the dwarves, trying to get as many of those out as he possibly can. We are saying, I don't like this one here. 3antozz wasting some time right now trying to take down this sentry tower. There's not a whole lot of value that 3antozz can get here from killing this sentry tower off. If you actually see what Rapl can see here with this sentry tower, it's not a whole lot. If he loses this, he's going to be able to still see this entrance with the temple line of sight, this tower line of sight, so you're not going to be able to get in and around his base all too easily. Whereas had 3antozz swung around the side here and went after this gold mine, he would have been in a much better position. We are seeing Rapl going for some nice raids with this Valkyrie, taking a little bit of damage thus far. The Raven flying overhead right now on this food, definitely an option for Rapl to think about targeting, but he does feel a little bit like he's on the back foot right now, taking his sweet time getting ready. As 3antozz continuing right now onto these berries. He's eating his walrus up over here. Still only 4 villagers out on this position. There's some far hunt over here. Both players playing very, very safe at this point as 3antozz going after these dwarves here. Almost taking one down, but he might actually be losing his centaur here. 33 HP remaining here on this centaur. As it does manage to get away, the Herser very, very angry here. So we are starting to see these Hippocon coming around. Rapl will notice this one. Well, at least he should notice this one as the Hippocon come in and just say, "G'day" to these dwarves. Looks like there's no reaction just yet. There's Rapl's reaction. Before the Hippocon can even do anything, the Hippocon going to come back here and attempt to take down the Herser over on this position, allowing that Centaur to go after the Ulfsark. Very, very smart there. We are seeing the Herser attempting to come over onto the Centaur here. The Centaur with 33 HP. Going to keep that one safe over here as the Hippocon have to retreat away. We do see Ulfsark versus the Hippocon, so a very, very strong counter here. One way forward for 3antozz would be to go in with Hoplite or Toxote here, depending on what he wants to try, or simply just get to the heroic cage and utilize Nemean Lions or what are they called? Hypaspist as another option, as we are seeing 3antozz retreating, and it looks to me, with the armory going down this early, that that's exactly what 3antozz wants to do. At the very least, get access to Curse and use Curse on those enemy units, as we are seeing more Ulfsark pumping out over here. Just one barracks worth of Ulfsark. We'll see, will Rapl notice that there's a fast or a semi-fast heroic coming in or not is the big question. He doesn't scout out the base. The Ravens are currently dealt with. They're not flying anywhere around here. And Rapl right now can very easily move out onto the hunt. And he's feeling very much like he can do that right now as the units here coming forward. Lots of dwarves moving forward as well. Maybe a little bit risky, but he's going to be going for that one there. We do see a bit of a ghost building there to take out that Hippocon. Stray Hippocon gets taken down. And now, will we be seeing 3antozz advancing? Answer is yes. There is the Aphrodite. Now, the next question here for 3antozz to decide, to make a decision on, is do you go Mythic Age now, or do you go hard Heroic Age? If you go hard Heroic Age, you can think about getting yourself Atlanta nice and early so you can deal with potential Frost Giants, getting out the Nemean Lion, getting out some barracks to make some militia, starting your farms, going heavy onto those armory upgrades, thinking about getting Bronze Mail and everything else. Alternatively, just straight to the Mythic Age and getting out Chimera to run around and start burning down those Ulfsark that are running amok here could be a very, very good idea as well. And it looks to me as if Rapl has snuffed this out. This is what makes Rapl really, really good. He's realizing, yep, the pressure is no longer here. 3antozz has returned back to his base, and he is reacting in a very, very nice way. He sees the military academy getting close to being able to advance. 3antozz will have the advantage here in the tech because he's built a few less units, as we do see the curse getting dropped down here. I love that curse. That's a whole bunch of extra herdables right now that 3antozz can eat. Now, it's only 50 food at this point, but it's still something. So each one of these pigs is about 50 food right now. So he's got 300 extra food that he can gather. And is that a market? Yes, it is. But does Rapl spot it? Rapl spots the market going down. So there is no pretending right now. Rapl knows exactly what's coming for him. And we'll see if he's going to be able to react or not to this. As now Rapple's going up through Skadi, we see more longhouses coming down. Excuse me. Sometimes the best reaction to a fast mythic from a Norse player is to get masons and get a second town center. That way, if your main town center gets earthquaked, you lose all your buildings, but your town center stays there. We did see that in a Loki versus Poseidon matchup with Matrius versus Joe, where Joe's earthquake didn't take out the town center like he would have liked, and Matrius was good to just spam houses up and be fine. But right now, still a little ways away from advancing. 3antozz could sell the food, sell the wood, and click up right now if he wants to. It doesn't look like he is really producing anything. He's not building houses anymore. He's coming out to this corner, going to be eating this hunt. Let's check out what Rapl can see. Obviously, Rapl could spot that hunt being eaten there. His Raven's currently sitting on top of this settlement, keeping an eye on that one as Skadi does pop, and we do see the longhouse coming down. No attempt at a second town center just yet. The dwarves coming over onto this gold mine, but Frost Giants are out, and it's scary. Frost Giants are very, very scary for this Artemis that's going to be coming in. We see Military Academy on the way, as some raiding cavalry coming through for Rapl as well. So these pacifists have to be very, very careful to make sure that they're targeting down the medium Ulfsark. And one thing that 3antozz might want to consider is actually building some prodromus here, just to cause some chaos for those raiding cavalry to think about in the fights. But right now, Rapl's got plenty of resources. He's scouting around the map, looking for something to take out here. And do we see that Masons coming through? No Masons just yet. I think that's a really, really big mistake. Clearly, he knows some sort of Mythic Age is coming. He's going for a full spam of units right now, as the raiding cavalry do come over here, do spot this. We do have a Pegasus out now for 3antozz to look for. And 3antozz is playing this really, really smart. You don't want to lose villages. It's worth it to bring these villages back in. We do see a bit of a forest fire getting dropped onto this position, as 3antozz can't really take this fight just yet. Question is, where's that Nemean lion gone? He must have lost it or something, because that should have been causing some havoc here. Maybe the Frost Giant caught it out or something like this, as the hoplites do push in. There's the earthquake going to be coming through. Still no masons for Rapl, so this is going to be a dead town center, a bunch of dead houses, and a bunch of military buildings getting finished off here as well. 3antozz's damage there is absolutely gigantic, as we see we've got ourselves heavy raiders. Now, heavy raiders are very, very risky here, and I don't think that 3antozz is making 100% the correct decision. He does have himself out, his Chimera, going to be searching for something to take out, but right now, Toxotes don't make a whole lot of sense. I would love to see Hoplite Prodromus here, or maybe Hoplite Hypaspis Prodromus getting made, and just pumping everyone onto gold and just buying food to support this, skipping out on farms and going completely all in onto a gold starve type idea here. As the Pegasus is hanging on into this location, we see the Chimera coming through. The Frost Giant is on the way to defend there, as we are seeing a straight throwing axeman going down, as well as a Hippocon going down as well. As the Chimera does hit these villages, does pick off one villager. It takes a little while for the damage to kind of stack up here, as the Frost Giant is going to be coming. We'll see how well the Frost Giant marking away from the Frost Giant's going to go right now. 3antozz doing a good job here, still managing over on this position here. Has to retreat back. The Chimera going to be picking up the special ability very soon. There it is. So he's going to be moving in onto this large gold mine and hitting these villages nicely. There are some relatively low HP villages, as we do see Rapl making a bit of a split there, but not quite fast enough. Takes a lot of damage here as the Chimera is going to get an attempted surround here as the Frost Giant's going to be coming in and does manage to hit that one. It's not completely lights out here for the Chimera as the Hippolyta is going to be coming in. So you do have to come in and fight this one if you want to keep that Chimera alive. Right now the unit's still turning around. We see heavy infantry in as well for Rapl as 3antozz damage is significant right now. However, his army composition just doesn't really deal with these raiders and these Ulfsark very well. So we'll see if he's going to change it up and make something a little bit different. He's going in with the heavy infantry here, going mass hoplite at this point. Might be a way forward. I don't mind it. We are seeing some nice ghost buildings coming through here by Rapl, but the unit's still going to be trickling away from here as we see a Polyphemus coming in to bash down these houses. Absolute chaos here from 3antozz. I love that play. Stray villager in here as well. A stray couple of villagers forward here as well. So maybe some forward barracks coming through for 3antozz in the near future. Right now, 3antozz got tons of villagers on food, happily eating the hunt over here. He's got hunt over here he can eat as well, as Rapl has managed to get his town center back up. He's got plenty of resources here. We are seeing the hoplites continuing to take down more and more of these villages here, as it seems like the Polyphemus has been cleaned up. But a couple of houses do go down. I'm not sure that was 100% worth it for 3antozz. He takes down 2 houses and a tower for a Polyphemus. That Polyphemus costs 400 gold. That's a lot of gold. So Rapl's going to be happy with that trade, but he does have to continue clawing his way back into this game. He's going to be dropping another town center. Sometimes it's best to just try and grab your town centers and then reboom and try and get your way back into the game that way with some cheeky raids. We are seeing the raiding cavalry coming in onto this position. There are no villagers over here anymore. The villagers making their way back home. 3antozz, what he can do here is actually a very, very strange play. You can actually buy some wood to build farms as an idea at this stage if you need to. Looks like the Polyphemus wasn't actually taken down and he's already back, going straight after that Frost Giant. Right now, nice micro from the 3antozz Polyphemus, pulling away from those throwing axemen to really, really help out this fight. Right now, though, you got to be super careful with those hoplites. They're taking so much damage from the throwing axemen, and the Toxotes is getting carved up by those heavy raiders. We see another Chimera coming in for 3antozz to help out in these fights. The Frost Giant is already in here and immediately tasks itself with dealing with said Chimera as the Polyphemus bash comes through there. To get that Frost Giant away, he's not able to keep chasing this one down, and that's going to be a potential another Chimera going to be finding its demise here to the power of these Frost Giants. You do see the Rapl Frost Giant going to come through here and start tasking itself onto the Chimera, and a ceasefire excuse me, does get dropped by 3antozz as the town center comes up. Got some stray stables coming in onto this gold mine over here as well to surround this one nicely. Villagers over here for 3antozz getting plenty of resources in the bank as this is continuing. We see Polyphemus coming through as well. Every single time you're building one of these units, though, if you're on one town center, it's so much idle villager time here for 3antozz. If he builds a Hippolyta, that's one villager. If he builds a Polyphemus, that's almost 2 villagers. 27 seconds to train the Mythic Age hero out of your town center. Normally it's fine because by the time you get to the Mythic Age, you're already 60 to 80 villagers. But in this case, 3antozz is probably roughly about 50 villagers, if that. So he's really in need of extra villagers here. We're seeing some more houses coming down, but like 3antozz needs a town center, and he's going to have a really, really big problem to deal with the frost that's going to be coming in. We see a stable coming up on this position here as the Frost Giants return back home. The question is, where did 3antozz send that Chimera? Going around this side looking for someone to take out. All the villagers currently on this gold mine over here, and that's kind of it. The villagers for Rapl are very, very low amounts of villagers here, as we do see a nice raid coming in onto this position. Potential frost could come down here and hit all these villages. That's 19 potential idle villagers plus the military units here that would get frozen. Not going to be using that one just yet, as the Chimera is coming through here. He's going to spot these villagers chopping away at that wood line, but decides to not go there, instead favoring hitting the gold mine over here. As the Chimera does come through, we are seeing this push coming onto this position over here, as the Polyphemus going to be taking this one out pretty quickly, forcing the frost. But meanwhile, the Chimera going after these villagers over here, going to be retreating away. Doesn't want to lose that to a Frost Giant again, as we have 4 Frost Giants right now coming through to the defense of this town center. Absolutely insane right now, as Rapl here has got no farms. He's got no food income. That's the big problem right now for Rapl. He's got no food income whatsoever. He's chopping, getting gold over here. So what 3antozz could be thinking about, and he has to deal with these Ulsark, is he could be thinking about how can I get an army which counters the throwing axemen that are coming out in a really good fashion. And there's a couple of good ways. I love this fortress getting thrown down for 3antozz. Anything to allow him to be producing heroes without the use of his town center training units is very, very good. But right now he's losing a lot of units to Rapl's push here. And this might actually give Rapl the time to start farming up his base. But 3antozz's Chimera are unrelenting right now, still searching around for stuff to take out here, as we are seeing a little bit of a retreat back by 3antozz. Now he's getting his second town center. There's a third town center over here he could grab. We could be potentially finding ourselves with a very, very strange kind of Mythic Age Greek without many upgrades versus a very, very heavily upgraded Norse player here in Rapl's Odin, stuck in the Heroic Age with no farms. So we'll see how that's going to go. Right now, selling food and or buying food is fairly expensive at 153 food here. So you see these Frost Giants going to town over here, as 3antozz desperately needs to make some heroes. He does get the Polyphemus out here, as this Frost Giant gets pushed right into these units, and 3antozz probably needs to think about retreating here. He's still not dealt with these heavy raiders at all. They're going to town on these units here, as the Polyphemus trying to take out these Frost Giants as best as he can. He is so slow though. 4.0 speeds, does bash that Frost Giant way away. 9 HP remaining. Meanwhile, it looks like the Chimera has either been picked off or pulled back. There he is, over here going after these villagers right now. It's another Frost Giant going to be going down. There are currently 2 remaining over here, as this Chimera has prevented gold income for some more time here. Rapl right now, 93 population, economy in shambles, military in shambles. And where to now for Rapl? He's just lost his incredibly strong army, and that's just kind of it. We are going to be seeing the Polyphemus getting taken out though, as 3antozz here, he's trying to get the farms up. He's only got 10 farms here. How are the economic upgrades looking? He's got himself pickaxe and irrigation. Pickaxe and irrigation compared to Rapl, who's got himself hand axe and plow. This is what we call kill my opponent harder than I kill myself. There's actually a player way back in the beginning of Age of Mythology's life, 20 years ago, that was named Nature Phoenix, and he was known for just that fact. He would purposefully not train villagers. He would purposefully do this stuff in order to get more military, so he could kill his opponent faster than he would kill himself. As we see 3antozz still attempting to push in here and taking out some more units, but he does get pushed back. Meanwhile, 3antozz still hasn't tried to grab this town center, kind of allowing Rapl some time here to get these farms up. Do we see any good upgrades? No, still just plow. More farms coming down now for Rapl. You have to remember that Rapl is spending a lot of wood on throwing axemen right now. He might even be buying food. It doesn't look like he is, but Rappl's spending a lot of wood on throwing axemen, so he can't really afford these farms off of just the 12 villagers. Meanwhile, we're seeing more dead villagers here, as 3antozz's Chimera is still wreaking havoc through Rappel's base here, as this Frost Giant trying to pick off this Chimera. And it looks like he does manage to get it. That's absolutely huge. The Chimera will get picked off, even if it takes longer than 20 seconds to take down a myth unit. The Frost Giant will be able to freeze it again and take it out. So one way you can do these raids is to bring your Atlanta with the Chimera. That way, one Frost Giant's not going to be enough, and you can just continue to put the pressure on and excuse me, and be in a really, really fantastic raiding position. Something I don't see very often, but when it happens, it's absolutely brutal because the Norse player then needs to send something like 3 Ulfsark plus the Frost Giant to deal with it, and even then, you're still in a bit of a rough position here. As Rapl returning back onto this location, he's still got plenty of these units, and again, we're still seeing Hippocon coming out. I repeat, I said it once already, but Hippocon right now make no sense for 3antozz. There's no unit here that the Hippocon counter. Prodromus would be beautiful. Unupgraded Prodromus can beat out heavy raiders fairly decently here. As we see the Chimera coming through, there's a double Chimera in onto this location, eating this location beautifully. So many dead dwarves here as the dwarves retreating back into the town center, trying to keep themselves alive, but it's too little too late. Rapl's economy is still getting absolutely torn to pieces. Meanwhile, still just 2 town centers for Rapl, for 3antozz. 3 villages on favor here. And the villagers are now going to mass migrate onto this gold mine here, as Rapl's got himself 900 gold in that gold mine and is in a very, very difficult position here, as we see the fortress getting targeted down. The villagers have to retreat back, and you do have to remember when this fortress falls, there's going to be a lot of militia popping out here, so they will be a help for 3antozz, but 3antozz seemingly feeling like he has to retreat here. As the Frost Giant sitting on this position. 2 Chimera, completely fine. You can come in, kill the Frost Giant. There's only 1 here, and it's completely fine to do this because that Chimera is just going to come back to life in 20 seconds. It's not like a Medusa or a Mummy or anything. As we see the Frost Giant getting taken down there. another Chimera in on the front, but there is a Frost Giant here to defend. So we see another Frost Giant coming over here. It's 218 HP remaining, so 3antozz can take that one down fairly fine here. Thanks so much for the gifted sub there, Alien Pro 93. Appreciate you, my friend, as this Frost Giant does go down as well. And that will allow 3antozz to continue the carnage on this gold mine, as 3antozz has to retreat back to his base. Lots of idle villagers here. He does have plenty of gold income over on this position here, so he's not really lacking gold mines, and he's going to be continuing to take this fight. Would love to see maybe bringing the Chimera back to help out in this one to deal with this, as we are seeing this Chimera is going to be doing some good damage on the back. As the Chimera going to circle around onto this gold mine yet again. It looks like Rapl's lost his ox cart from that location. Just long distance mining here. A little bit too much chaos in this game for him to deal with. As Rapl turns around going after these units as best as he possibly can. The Chimera does come through. Will hit the Chimera there. And 3antozz has got a micro over here and deal with this Frost Giant. He's going to be sending the Polyphemus in to hit that one with the Bash special ability when he can. As the Chimera's here, 244 HP remaining, so he's going to be completely fine here, as we do see that these Chimera coming in onto this position, hit these dwarves nicely. So the dwarves do retreat back, and 3antozz is going to be, unfortunately, no, not unfortunately, hits the villagers and takes them all down. That is an absolute barbecue of a villager there. The dwarves, they taste a lot juicier than the average villager. And 3antozz is going to be really, really happy about dealing with that one there. Because now he's coming over onto this gold mine here. We see the special coming back up. 20 seconds is all it takes. The villager's getting taken down. It's such an insane amount of damage coming through by 3antozz, but he's not yet been able to really stabilize his economy and afford that 3rd town center that he desperately needs here. As we are going to be seeing potentially this Chimera going down. 11 HP remaining. The town center are targeting down the wrong one there, unfortunately. As another Chimera coming in onto this position. We've got 2 lots of of 2 Chimera at this point. The village is coming over onto this gold mine now for 3antozz. He's got to be careful about this one because there are raiding cavalry and they can come over and carve up those villages very, very easily here. As you see 3antozz's Chimera coming in onto this position. There's the great Jarls here ready to defend. They do a lot of damage to the Chimera, so you do have to be very, very careful here as we see the Chimera checking out this gold mine, making sure nothing's going on there. But Rapl is simply just over here on this location, mining the gold, doing his darndest here. As we see the Rapl units moving forward, getting taken down very, very quickly, though, with the help of that Polyphemus. We are now starting to see some of those Huskarls coming in to deal with those Toxotes, and there's not really that many Hippaspis, I should say, here to deal with those Huskarls, so 3antozz will indeed have to retreat. Meanwhile, we are seeing this town center coming up. The 3 Chimera going to be making their way in onto this position. We got the special ability ready. Tons of villagers over on this position, but 3antozz doesn't care. He's going after this gold mine. There is a frost giant here, though, as we see that Chimera getting pulled back, and we'll see how this one's going to go. We see the Chimera using the special ability, going to be hitting those villagers. Tons of damage coming in onto that position there as the villagers retreat back into the town center. Doesn't want to be losing those just yet. We see the town center still getting denied here as the raiding cavalry do manage to get over onto that position. The Polyphemus is going to come through and will be able to finish off that town center finally. They're leveling the population deficit right now. The villagers are going to be making a retreat for it. But 3antozz 130 population, Rapl 130 population, going to be getting himself fortified town centers here as well, as the unit's dealing with these towing accident really, really nicely. That Polyphemus is a big unit, 700 HP, 700 total HP, 40% hack armor with 0 armor upgrades. Means that those throwing axemen only dealing 5.4 damage. Looks like they're probably doing more like 2 damage or 3 damage per second to that Polyphemus. He stays alive for a very, very long time as we see the villagers getting taken out of these farms. That's going to be absolutely brutal there. And now we see a cheeky raid coming through for Rapl onto this gold mine. He's finally going to be able to do some return damage onto 3antozz economy as we see a Atlanta finally coming out. This unit is so key for dealing with frost giants. Thank you for the raiding party, Nullus. Appreciate you, my friend. Because now we see 3antozz saying, screw it, I'm going after the hill fort. You're over here dealing with my villagers. He needs to turn around and fight this or retreat right now as the hill fort will go down. Potentially 3antozz wants to grab this town center for himself. He's still not paying attention onto this location here. Is the Chimera going to be moving in onto this position, potentially taking out these villagers on that wood line there as the hill fort will indeed come down. The Atlanta is in here to deal with that Therm Frost Giant. As we do see the Chimera over there does end up going down. You can see how fast this Frost Giant goes down to Atlanta, but it does seem like 3antozz has to retreat back. He's getting pushed off that gold mine. 466 gold in the bank. Still mining this gold mine. Only 200 gold left in it, though, so he does have a very, very difficult time in front of himself because he needs to get a second gold mine, or not a second gold mine, a next gold mine here to stay in this game. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to train anything but Atlanta and Hippolyta, basically, here. And Centaur, I guess. As we see the raiding cavalry going after these farming villages. Here we see the double militia getting some cheeky amounts of damage here as the Chimera does get, one Chimera does get stopped here by the Frost Giant, as Rapl going to be pulling his alternate Frost Giant back over here to defend this gold mine as best as he possibly can. Meanwhile, we see the villagers moving forward, going to look to try and grab this gold mine. Only 1,000 gold in this location, but right now Rapl's at 130 of 130 population. Rapl's at 140 of 140 population, so very, very close population-wise. The Chimera keep on getting picked off, and the Chimera does come in here. So many low HP villages. There's so many low HP villages, but the Chimera does get shanked to death. As Rapl notices it, very low HP. Another Frost Giant coming down. These Frost Giants are just doing so much work in this game to prevent 3antozz from making any sort of progress here, I would say. As it seems to me now that 3antozz has given up on the Chimera Dream, moving back over onto this gold mine for the time being here. 3antozz dropping down to 108 of 130 population here. And Rapl having to retreat for the time being, but Rapl's at 129, 140 population. He should be able to turn around and continue this fight. His units are very, very strong. He's got the heavy upgrades. Still no armory upgrades, but still max chaos here as we see the Townsend are going to get taken down. That will give Rapl a bit of gold to play with, as this gold mine is still got 1600 gold left in it. So still some time to play with before he has to start really fretting here. As we see the Frost Giants falling here, the Atlanta doing absolute work, but 3antozz has to retreat back, and these villagers here will finish the gold mine, but they're going to have to get out of here now because they are in the middle of nowhere, though they could join the army if they really feel like it. Another option here for 3antozz is to go after this town center yet again, or go after this town center, maybe dropping a hill fort here or something. Wouldn't go astray, but right now right now 3antozz has got no resources in the bank. He's trying to push through, trying to deal with these Frost Giants, but they just keep coming. And the Frost Giants, they're so cheap. You have to think about it like this. So if you think about what a Greek Chimera costs, it costs 300 gold and 30, is it 30 favor? I think it's 30 favor. Chimera. 30 favor. 30 favor is roughly 10, or it's roughly 300 resources. It costs roughly 600 resources to get. Whereas, Norse doesn't have to pay for favor at all. They just have to fight. So the favor is free, effectively. You have a finite amount of it, but it is free. And these Frost Giants only cost 200 gold. So they're cheap. They have 800 HP. They're absolute monsters here for the Odin player. But now we're going to be seeing this Townsend getting grabbed. As Rapl says, all right, we're going to try and flip the battlefield. I see these gold mines over here. I know that it's important to get up onto that location here. That's going to be absolutely huge. As the villagers coming over here to grab this settlement as best as he possibly can. 3antozz, 3 town centers. Rapl, 3 town centers. 33 minutes into the game. I see the villagers retreating back. And now that 3antozz has actually got his heroes out, the Frost Giants do start looking a lot less scary. However, you can easily take down those cheaper heroes with your Ulfsark and everything else. We'll see if he's going to be able to do that. We do see a fortress coming up on this position. I like this from 3antozz, putting some effective pressure onto this settlement a little bit later. Could make some Heliopoli or something like that. And we'll see how it's all going to go. Meanwhile, the villagers moving in onto this position to try and secure it a little bit more. There's no gold over here. So 3antozz needs to really get onto this position here. We'll see if he's going to start making some Heliopoli or anything. He doesn't really have the resources there to deal with that one. As Rapl making some really, really good decisions here coming onto this position. However, 3antozz equally good decision making here. He's bringing his Toxotes in. Going to be going after these villagers, taking them out. There's so many low HP villagers here as well. And Rapl's gold economy is going to be hitting very, very low numbers very, very fast. He's not reacting to this at all here. So many dead villagers, but so too are we seeing tons of dead villagers coming through for 3antozz. Both players just losing every single ounce of their economy right now. And this is everything here. It's all going to come down to whether or not these players can win these fights or not. So we are seeing the Atlanta here with 13 HP getting sniped down. The Frost Giants going to town as the Polyphemus not in the fight anymore. That Hippolyta doesn't really do all too much to the Frost Giants at all here. As the Polyphemus though would come in and do some really good amounts of damage. See the throwing axeman getting taken out just a little bit there, but having to pull back for the time being. As we are seeing this fortress getting taken out. The villagers on this gold mine going down as well. Rapl with plenty of food, plenty of wood, but only 4 villagers on gold. As we take a look at the market trade routes here, Rapl does have his market. He can sell resources. He can go to the next age. But is that too risky here? As we are seeing the units coming forward here. The Polyphemus getting dropped in and out of the town center. 53 HP. One little trick you can do is, if you don't want to use that special ability of the Polyphemus, or of any unit for that matter, you can garrison it into a building, ungarrison it, but it won't be able to use that. It won't be able to use that special ability until it's recharged, because it does reset if you garrison. So you are seeing 3antozz attempting to come through and take out this town center over here. The villagers coming over here onto this gold mine, as 3antozz is going to be swinging around here, going after these villages. Rapl noticing this one here, moving his villages as best as he possibly can. Going to be finishing off this town center as best as he can. 137 population to 130 population. Very, very close here, as the villagers still darting back and forth. How much gold is in this home gold mine? Right now there's 1,200 gold in the home gold mine for Rapl. He should just retreat back home and just get that gold and stabilize on his 4 town centers or in his 160 population or something like that. But right now, Rapl is he advancing? No, he's spent all his resources. He's sold his food, sold his wood, I guess. Looks like he has been. As we see the raiding cavalry chasing these villagers away. The villagers back over here onto this gold mine yet again. Now Rapl moving back in with his villagers here. He's got his army on the movement, on the march. Getting back over to this weak point to take out this gold mine is going to be absolutely huge. The villagers are still getting murdered, massacred even, on this position here as they are trying to retreat away. But Rapl leaving this town center ungrabbed for the time being. We are going to be seeing Rapl thinking about getting this town center down. Throwing axe were not the best to take down town centers, but the raiding cavalry are going to be able to do a decent amount of damage at 9.6 here. So I'm going to be able to take this down at some point. Meanwhile, 3antozz throwing up another fortress, definitely aware that taking this town center down with a Heliopoli would be a very, very good move. Meanwhile, 3antozz able to move back and defend this one just a little bit, but there's just so many units out for Rapl here. Absolutely huge, as the town center here stays alive for just a little bit longer. Meanwhile, I mean, these villagers just happily mining gold. This is some place that Rapl could continue putting pressure, but he's deciding against that one. Meanwhile, the villagers on this gold mine here with the fortress able to actually shoot them down. That's actually really, really good for 3antozz. We'll see if he's going to be able to continue here. Right now, 122 of 130 population. He's got the population, he just doesn't have the tech. And are there any armory upgrades coming through here? We do have some pierce upgrades for Rapl compared to nothing for 3antozz, as 3antozz going to be retreating, or Rapl, I should say, going to be moving his army up to this gold mine to take down even more of 3antozz's villagers, as the villagers pushing in here to defend this fortress. The fortress getting half HP'd here as the villagers retreating back. Maybe going to try and repair this one back up. Immediately going to be getting taken down here by the raiding cavalry. 3antozz at 118 of 115 population. No fortified town centers. His army on the march coming up here. There's just so many units out for Rapl as the fortress does go down. Now the gold mines similarly going to be getting controlled completely by Rapl here, as the villagers coming back in, maybe going to be attempting to hit these villagers or shank them, or shank the throwing axe just a little bit here, but just going to be tanking for the time being. The majority of them are falling. We do see a stray Valkyrie coming in, a handful. The stray Valkyrie is coming in for Rapl as he's trying to spend that favor. He obviously can't afford the Frost Giants anymore because they cost gold and he doesn't have gold. But it does look like he's going to clean up this army here, and 3antozz dropping down to 90 population. And in that moment, he does decide he has to tap out, not able to secure the gold mine, not able to start a trade route. This kind of map switch by Rapl, where he decided to grab this town center and sack this location, was absolutely genius. And effectively won him the game there, because it allowed him to secure this gold mine and this gold mine. This gold mine wasn't exactly secured, but the pressure that Rapl can continue to mount here was everything. 3antozz played this one so well. The only thing I would have liked to have seen is, instead of Hippocon out of this stable, make Prodromus. If he made Prodromus here, then those raiding cavalry would look a lot less scary, and he would be able to deal with them much easier, and even deal with the raids, because Prodromus, little known fact, actually have 6 speed as well, so they can chase down those raiding cavalry and prevent them from taking your villages down, as opposed to Hippocon with only 5.5 speed. So it's a really, really good counter raiding unit. But doesn't work out for him. He does. I really feel like 3antozz is getting better and better at this matchup, and it is becoming less and less Odin favored and more 50-50 Chaos favored, or outplay favored, if you will, a skill matchup, if you will. Incredibly well played game by both players. If you guys enjoyed this game, please consider hitting the follow on the Twitch. If you're on the YouTubes, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next game.